This is Roy J. Akers with you from the Skyview Motorsports desk. I'm with Eric Young and also Steve Schweitzer of the Last Go Press. Eric Young, you're our guest this week. Where is your podcast and all that at? So let's get that out of the way real quick.
My podcast is The Super Speedway. It's thesuperspeedway.com is our website. We're on all the major podcast platforms as well. So just break down the race each and every week, usually on Tuesdays. We recorded a week early this week, so it's already out for Indy. And yeah, it's we've been doing it since 2017. So
And so, Steve, yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. So you just do the one a week, and it's core that now. Do you hit any NASCAR issues as well, or does that kind of come in during the flavor of the Zoomcast, or in your case, the podcast?
throughout, I mean, that our main focus is the Cup Series. So that's where we hit the most of our discussion from. So
Okay, yeah, I kind of figured. Well, so
yeah.
with that, we were both Steve and I. We were at the Brickyard 400 this week, and Eric, what was your impressions that you had of the Brickyard 400?
I thought it was a good race. I mean, you're not never going to have the style of racing that you have at some of the other tracks like Atlanta or whatnot. I see Atlanta behind you, of course. Um but it was a good race. I think it's a solid race. It's good that we're back on the oval, regardless of what you say about Indy. It's all about the oval. We belong there. Attendance, whatever, it doesn't matter. The NASCAR Cup Series should be on the oval in Indianapolis. So it's good to see us back there. Good race. It was definitely an interesting finish. Nice to see Bubba get the win.
Steve.
Hey, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great race, and um, Indy is unique, and that's I think what makes it special to a lot of fans. I had read that they had 70,000 people there in the grandstand, which is twice as many as Iowa holds for
Right.
each week. So it looked a little sparse because the place seats 300,000, but I think that I do think the fans enjoyed it. And Bubba got his win.
There were 10 different leaders in the race this week. And to me, the lead, I think it was Austin Cindric led the most laps. He had 40. And so, I mean, which a Ford out front at Indy is a nice change. And then, of course, you had a couple of other drivers each get 30 laps. You had Tyler Reddick get in there. And, of course, Bubba Wallace came in there toward the end. Lots of nice surprises on that. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. We have in the waiting room, we have Bubba Wallace. And so, Bubba, you are now a crown jewel race winner. Denny said he noticed this about you this time last year. And he says your mindset has changed. He says that the valleys you kind of really aren't in anymore. You're kind of on a higher plane. He says you're able to kind of rein it in a little bit. It was also this time last year you came off the Chicago penalty and called that the best moment to happen to you your entire life. This weekend you qualified second. You beat Larson straight up on two overtime restarts. Bubba, who is Bubba Wallace today, and what are your thoughts about what the last year's brought you?
A guy with a beautiful wife, a beautiful son, and just fortunate enough to be driving race cars. Putting family first.
Just look at this.
That's all that matters.
What's going on.
And,
Like, what are you
makes
doing,
things easier.
Tom?
Gives you something to kind of focus on too.
And this
The
is
racing stuff is kind of secondary now, and that's you have to go through a mental shift to say that. Especially for me, because I remember when Amanda and I first started dating. I'm like, hey, racing's everything, right? And I knew I made a mistake saying that, and it took me all these years to realize, like, this isn't always going to be here. So I think it's better to, enjoy the moments like this, but nothing can overcome the joy, the times you have with your family at home in private setting, and then you just so happen to be a race car driver on Sundays. So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm enjoying life. I enjoy being here at the racetrack with all you guys, making fun of what Jordan wears each and every week. It's just, I say it about once a year to myself. I have a really cool fucking job. And it's not even a job, a cool hobby. and you guys are all living it with me. So it's cool. Thank you.
Gentlemen, that's a question that I got from another reporter that asked that question to Bubba Wallace at the race, and Bubba seems to be in a much different place right now, doesn't he, gentlemen? Because he seems to be very happy. He loves being a dad.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, having a kid will do that for you. I'm a father as well, and it's good to see Bubba being a little less hard on himself. Obviously, he's happy from getting the win, but we've seen a different Bubba Wallace all season, and I think that is attributed to his success this year as well, and the fact that he's got this crown jewel win now. He's not holding everything in the way he has. I mean, we've seen the reactions of him getting out of the car. We've seen it at Michigan when he's finished second. He's definitely a different person, and a different Bubba, a more complacent Bubba, a more comfortable Bubba might be bad for the rest of the field.
Steve.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as you guys know, post race they bring in not only the winner, but they bring in the winner's car owner, and so Denny Hamlin preceded Bubba into the media center there at Indy, and Denny made those exact same comments. And as he was, kind of rambling a little bit, killing time, waiting for Bubba to get there, one thing that I thought was very interesting is Denny said that when he was young in his career, Mike Ford, we all know Mike Ford from NASCAR. We've had him on the show. Um, came up, talked with him one day and said, Denny, you got to understand, this is a losing sport. Okay. There's only one winner every single weekend. Okay. And you have got to adjust your focus to the point where losing is part of your job. And if you can't do that, you're not going to last in this sport. And I think maybe Denny passed some of that, NASCAR wisdom on to Bubba, because it seems like he's come to terms with the fact that you're not going to be in victory lane every week.
And what I like too about the end of that comment is that he says that really what I'm doing is a hobby. He says it's a cool job, and he says I thank the media members for enjoying the experience with me, because I've kind of come to realize that. Any final comments?
Bubba's faced a lot of criticism and things, unnecessarily from some of the NASCAR fan base and everything. And I think he's felt throughout his whole career that he has to prove something to everybody. And the more he gets wins, especially a big win like this, hopefully the less he'll feel like he has to prove. And he can just go out there and do his thing every week and compete for wins each week.
Great comment, Eric. That's right on. I'm a little older than both of you guys, and I'll tell you, I enjoy what I'm doing. So, even though I picked Bubba to drop out of the playoff standings last week, he's got himself well situated now.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the points a little bit later on.
I
Final
wanted to
couple.
bring it up before you you gave me a jab about it there, Royce.
William Byron, talk about some postscripts on the race. Second time, including Michigan and also this race, that he runs out of gas on the final lap, finishes way back in the pack, and I'm so glad I did not have him on my fantasy team this week. I was glad till the last lap, but Todd Gilliland, we talked to his crew chief. Chris Lawson is going to be on our show next week. And Chris, I asked him some very pointed questions, but Gilliland finishes sixth. Ryan Blaney finishes seventh in that Ford. Ty Dillon didn't win the $1 million, but we also have the president of his team coming up on the flip side of all this. We talked to a lot of people this weekend. We were not shy, were we, Steve?
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, we're going to be back in 30, and we'll have the rest of our first episode.
When I want to go behind the scenes coverage of NASCAR, I go inside the Cup Garage on YouTube and all social media channels.
This August, a full-throttle festival comes to upstate New York. Camp under the stars, then witness the brightest stars of NASCAR battle for a crucial playoff spot. NASCAR weekend at Watkins Glen. Get your tickets now at theglen.com.
The bracket challenge is done. We have a winner, Ty versus Ty, and it was Ty Gibbs. Anyone?
Oh, I did get a question into Ty Gibbs in the media center after the race. I asked him if his grandpa had given him any indication of how much of that $1 million was going into his pocket. His response was, "I don't have a clue. I don't care. We won." Great attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
I thought overall the bracket challenge was really interesting. I think it brought a lot of attention to. I mean, especially Ty Dillon got a lot of attention out of this, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
that was a big success for this thing. But I think everybody kind of had Ty Gibbs penciled in to get this win this weekend, and barring something crazy that could have happened, which he was pretty careful during that wreck at the end to make sure he didn't get caught up into it and he could take that check home. But barring something like that, it was kind of a given as to who was going to come out on top at the end.
Yeah, as Steve will tell you, I took Ty Dillon in the race only because there's no doubt that Ty Gibbs is on the better team. He's a better driver. He has a chance to make the playoffs, but right now he has to win to get in. There's no doubt about that. But I was just taking a look at racing luck. I did the one thing I do like about this, and you're going to find this out in the question here in just a moment to Chris Rice, who's standing by, but Ty Dillon said in the pressers that we had, Eric and Steve, that he's had more attention in the last 5 weeks or whatever than he's had in quite a while. It's gave him a new attitude. I did ask him about he was nonchalant at Charlotte. I asked 3 or 4 drivers and they're like the bracket challenge. Oh geez. And they couldn't have cared less, but as soon as they won it, they won in Atlanta, all of a sudden everybody's perking up. And that's where Chris Rice. Chris, he's the president of Colleague Motorsports, the very first employee that Matt Colleague hired. So he tells me that to start right off. You see the possibilities in this bracket challenge. I'm going to go ahead and ask the question to you as I'm sitting right across from you out there, and we're going to kind of riff for the next minute and a half. And it's got some possibilities, folks. Chris, take her. What I like about the in-season bracket challenge, I think I saw it before most people because in NCAA basketball, Iona is not going to beat Kansas in the first round game. It's just not going to happen. But NASCAR, anything can happen. Somebody could go into the wall, they blow a right tire, they tear something up, and they can't continue on. Well, that's kind of happened in some of these scenarios. But to me, this bracket challenge has so much potential. I asked Denny yesterday. I says, have you guys thought about double elimination or more payouts or even like a fan prize where like if they had have chose Ty Dillon, they could have drawn 5 Ty Dillon prizes out of this whole thing, and DraftKings could pay for it all because they're getting a big chunk of money out of this whole thing. I rambled. What do you think about what I said?
I like that. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm on a lot of committees with NASCAR and with their things to try to make the sport better, fan councils and all that. And when I think about what has went down with this in bracket challenge, can we make it better? Absolutely. Was it great? Absolutely. But it could be the 1 and 2 seed that's here because of the way it worked out. But the racetracks that were picked, Atlanta, halfway drafting, halfway style racetrack, they wrecked a lot of cars. That changes the whole start of the deal. 2 legacy cars were together racing against each other. If AJ would have finished right in front of the 54, it was a possibility that AJ and Ty could have been racing each other. I like that. I thought it was great. My question is, should we do this for the playoffs? Is it time to make this a playoff, double elimination? Because you look at SVG, for example. He's going to run really good at the road courses. He's going to be average here. He's getting better. And you do it in bracket at the end of the year with a double elimination bracket challenge. I don't know. That's something we got to think about. We need to all sit down and think about it. Let the media, let the fans, let everybody vote and see what needs to happen. But I love what has happened inside this time of the year because we normally are not talked about. Because all these people are gone on vacation. They're gone with their kids. They're getting close, ready to go back to school. Nobody's talking about NASCAR. It's hot. Everybody's like, oh, we'll watch it on Sunday and take a nap. But now they're talking about it. Tomorrow, Sunday, is going to be an absolutely amazing race.
Well, you heard me talk about a double elimination. You heard me talking about a fan prize. But what did you guys think about maybe doing this again? Probably not this year, but maybe next year, maybe a second time in the playoffs where some of the guys that are out of it can actually maybe play for a prize or, double elimination? What do you guys think about that?
I think we didn't really know what to expect this year going into it, and there were a lot of people skeptical about how important it would be, how big of a focus it would be. And I think the fact that we got to highlight some guys in the field that maybe don't necessarily get the attention made it more interesting, made it more relevant. And definitely drew a lot more interest this year. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Certainly, again, at least once next season, but maybe a couple times. I mean, it certainly is something to give you something else to pay attention to and care about during the season. And if you don't care about it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt anything. You just ignore it.
I have to admit, when I got the email originally that announced it, I didn't even open it. Okay, I mean, it sat in my inbox for probably a month before I even got around to looking at it to consider what it was. And then I wasn't real sure, but I loved it. I thought it was absolutely great. Ty Dillon became a social media star as a result of his, comments, and good luck, really, through the course of the whole challenge. And so I think there's a lot that they could do to involve more fans and get the drivers more excited about it. I guess my only disappointment was that the $1 million didn't go in the driver's pocket. It went to the team. But, it is a team sport. You got a crew chief, you got a pit crew, and certainly I do think that Joe Gibbs will be real fair in how he shares that money around.
Yeah, I can understand. When a Super Bowl team, when an NFL team, when they win the Super Bowl, the front office, they also get a ring as well, especially if they've been an employee for, not for 3 weeks, but I mean, if they've been an employee for a certain period of time. And, Chris Rice, this did not make it on the air today, but Chris said that they are having one heck of a Christmas party if they would have won, one heck of a Christmas party. And he says that there are people at his shop that $1,000 or 10,000 would go a long way toward putting money down on a house or a car or something like that. So to me that was exciting, and I hope next year that they come out with that. The final postscript I want to say on this whole thing is that Ty Gibbs did offer in on the track and also in the press conference to give $10,000 to Ty Dillon's favorite charity. So there you go. At least something good came out of that.
This was a win overall.
Yeah. All right.
I agree.
All right. So, fellas, tell you what, we're going to wrap it up for this first episode as we are inside the Cup Garage. I'm Roy J. Akers, Eric Young, Steve Schweitzer. We have a couple of topics that we're going to do in our very next episode, and you are definitely going to want to stay tuned.
Yeah, it's great. First of all, I want to say all glory to God. And the other thing I want to say is, $1 million is a lot of money. I want to have, I'm going to give $10,000 to wherever Ty Dillon wants to, choose to tithe to or give to a charity. So it's his choice.